Hey everyone, well, we're getting to the end of summer and it is beautiful harvest that is starting to show up everywhere. The flowers are blooming. These zinnias have just come into full bloom and they are looking gorgeous. So grab some smaller paintbrushes like these ones, as well as we're adding permanent rose, or if you have a phthalo crimson, your favorite pink, and we are going to paint these really lovely, happy flowers. I am so excited to paint with you today. This project is done in less than 15 minutes. We're going to sketch it out with micron pen, and then we start laying on that paint and finish with some really fun splatters. So I hope you enjoy it, and grab your paints and let's get started painting this beautiful, fun painting. Hello everyone, welcome back. So we are still in our garden series, but we are changing up our paint palette just a little bit. My mom's zinnias came up and they are the most gorgeous pink. So we are painting some pink zinnias today. I was doing some pre-sketches and really I took the same flower and then I had taken different pictures of it and just created different angles from these from the different pictures, and the angles we're creating a lovely bouquet here. And so I really want to focus too. We are just using a couple of colors. You have a cadmium yellow or a lemon yellow, whatever yellow you want, that we're going to use in the stems. We have a lovely pink. I have a permanent rose or a phthalo crimson will work lovely. I had mixed in just a hair of the blue, the phthalo blue that's on our garden palette, to get some of the darker pink in the middle. And then we have green. Either use a permanent green or a hooker's green light. So those are our lovely flowers that we're using as models. Again, a little bit, that pink is coming in a little bit, and you can see that I have created 3 little flowers, a baby flower coming up here, and then a couple of flowers, and I am going to go ahead and start laying in some of that yellow. I had started to just a second ago and realized I wasn't recording yet, so let me back this out. I am once again going to grab that yellow. Make sure if you've been using your palette to do some color mixing, make sure there's no green mixed in with your yellow. We want it to be super, a nice sharp yellow. And zinnias are such fun flowers. They have those yellow tendrils coming around that almost protect the middle of the flower's face. And so I'm just adding that in here. And then I saw a lot of yellow within the leaves. So I'm going to grab actually a larger paintbrush and going to pick up some of that yellow here. And I'm just going to drop it in. And then I'm going to start bringing the green down over it. Also looking wherever there's some shadowing, we'll add in some deeper green. So I'm now going to pick up some green. I'm just going to dip that in the water, grab some permanent green. And I think it might have gotten mixed up a little bit with some hooker's green, but nope, that looks pretty permanent to me. And I'm going to come up here. Now on this one, I had seen on that, almost that portrait, that side view, you can see that green really nicely. The kind of almost the way that the petal bulb holds the flower, which I love. I'm going to go ahead and just start moving my green around here and moving it down. And with the stems, if this is too thick of a brush, I think I have a size, I think it's a size either 4 or 6 right now. You can always grab a smaller one, and the smaller ones work really nice too. So I can always come back, grab this green right here, and then you just move that around. You'll have a little bit more control. I also noticed with these flowers, the stems are really, or the leaves I should say, have some very distinct lines down them. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can create those lines as well. So for example, on this guy, I have the outside line, the interior line, and yep, it's mixing with the yellow, but that's just fine. If you notice that you have too many colors moving around on your palette, just grab your paper towel and clean up the palette really quick. And I know I sometimes will get that. And I just dabbed the whole thing with the paper towel. I was trying to create a darker green, and I had mixed just a little bit of pink with the green, but as you know, pink and green, red and green, it always makes a brown, which is not what I wanted. So sometimes the palette just needs a cleanup. Our garden is looking really nice, and it's in my mom's home. I go over a few times a week. I was pruning last night. We had a bunch of like dead leaves underneath, and then I noticed there was almost like it was almost like a rot on the ground. I'm not sure. So anyways, I was pruning, cutting back the dead leaves, cleaning up the dirt, just moving things around. My mom called me. She was like, you need to wear gloves because the pumpkin vines are going to wreck your hands, and she's right, and so are the squash too. But you know when you start on something and you just get a mind to do it, right? And I was just trimming, pruning. I actually had a pumpkin vine that was strangling a squash plant. It had traveled all the way over out of its area. So I felt like I was like dividing, you know when you like broke up fights between your younger siblings or your kids. That's what I felt like I was doing last night. So anyways, but I'm hoping that with that pruning, I hate cutting back the leaves. It always feels like I'm doing damage, but I know that actually the pruning, if done correctly, will actually lead to more growth. I was also reading, I'm just continuing with my green here, with the pumpkin vines, they only have so much ability to send nourishment down to the pumpkins and the leaves. So if they get too long and too big and there's too many of the curly tendrils, they don't have enough nutrition and nourishment to send to nourish everything. So things will automatically start dying if you don't go in, or if I don't go in and do some pruning, which I thought that's such an interesting concept of having to get rid of the excess in order for the most important things. The pumpkins, in this matter, we don't want just vines. I was talking to the little pumpkins going, you're such beautiful vines, but we don't want just vines, we want pumpkins. So anyways, but it got me thinking about life too, about sometimes the things that we have to cut off and out of our lives. Okay, let's pick up some pink in order to see things flourish, right? It's hard though. It's not fun, especially when everything is looking so good, right? Those vines look absolutely beautiful. They're all lovely and flourishing, and they're beautiful in color, and they've got just tons of growth. But sometimes lots of activity and lots of growth doesn't actually create the results that we want. And a hard lesson to learn in life for sure. Lessons from the garden, right? I find that going out in the garden and having a garden, there's so much wisdom, so much wisdom. Okay, so we're moving around our pink, lovely pink petals here, and you can see that I am not making them very dark. Now, zinnias come in such a variety of colors. And I know in the past my mom would have like bright orange zinnias and red zinnias and really bright, like almost hot pink zinnias. So you can do whatever color you want and even make up your own color as well. Yellow zinnias, all the things. I'm going to get just a touch of blue and mix it with with a bit of pink now for the center. So have fun. I was thinking about that earlier. I could have done a variety, but I thought, I think I'm just going to do pink for now. And you can see that's a little bit darker. I've let my yellow in the middle dry up as well. And over here, I'm going to just do a bit. Try to leave a little bit of white in there in that centerpiece, and I can see just a little bit in this one, the side view. So we're just going to dab that in there like that. And then I am going to come back and I'm going to pick up a little bit more. And where I think there might be some shadowing are those petals that are just catching a little bit more of this shadowing. I'm going to add in some darker color, but not tons, just a little bit. I'm going to rinse off my brush here. If I felt like it was too dark, I can just pull it, right? I can just pull that down a little bit, and that looks really nice. And you can always take your paper towel too. Okay, so now that I've got that flower, I'm just going to dab a little bit more. If you want to add another petal, you had seen that I had done a sketch originally with the micron pen. And sometimes I will come back and go, oh, I think I just actually have a few more petals in there that I don't want again. I don't want to micron pen everything and make a really hard sketch, but I like having that direction. Okay, making sure you can see this. Okay, you can. Okay, I'm going to back up this just a little bit more so you can see that, and then come on in just a tad like that. Okay, so now you can see over here as I'm going to rinse my brush, I'm just adding a bit of water to it So these petals are a little bit lighter. Just like that. And just again, this is a size 2 brush, and just moving it around. And we are just not even at the 10-minute mark. My goodness, we're going fast. We are just moving right along. It's a beautiful morning. It's going to be a hot day. I think we're going into triple digits all week out here in Northern California. And so we are just, I went for a run early this morning. Well, actually, it wasn't that early. It was later than I normally go. It was so interesting because already, too, you could just feel the sun was just coming down hot. But I was so glad to get out and do that. It felt good to run and then to come back in. Okay, this looks really nice. And then down at this one, too. Now, we're going to let this dry. And you'll notice in the other one, I had, instead of doing lots of a background color, which you certainly could do, and we could get real dramatic with the background color. What I opted to do another little guy, making sure their petals too are, the zinnias petals tend to go in the middle, I mean right where they start, and then they go outward and then come back in a little bit. They have almost a flat edge, or a little bit, just a little bit of a curve, but they're a little bit more geometric, and their leaves are definitely, they're nice long leaves with those curves on the end, those tendrils, and they all kind of have their matching counterpart leaves. So you have one leaf here, and then right across from it there's another leaf. So I'm just coming back in here, and if you think to yourself, gosh, I really would like to create some more depth, you know, add a tad bit of blue, or the pink will give it a little bit of brown, so be careful of that. But you could even put a little bit of blue into that green, so it doesn't get like dark. We don't want it like a brown, but it just gets a little bit more depth. And I can do that right in here. And again, some shadowing, maybe right down in here. Moving this around. That looks nice. I'm going to come back with the brush that's a little bit bigger. And I am just going to grab a little bit of yellow. But I want it pretty, lots of water on that yellow. Lots of water there, and then I'm going to come back in and just mix that there so we get that nice yellow-green color right in there. And I'm going to go around in just a couple of these areas right on here. Give that a nice little pop, and that will also make the yellow in the flower pop as well. Okay, that's looking really, really nice. Now, if you want to add some splatters like I did, we should really wait for it to dry, but you can see on this painting right here that I added the splatters around here, and it got a little bit of yellow there. Wait till that paint is dry, and then again, I'll even add a couple more on this particular one. I'll even add just some yellow. So get some yellow, get it nice and wet, and then you can just splatter it around a little bit, and that creates a really beautiful, just a sense of brightness and happiness. So I can come back on this one as well, looking at where I might want to add some splatters. Again, making sure that your colors are real pure on the palette. So if you need to wash off your palette, do wash off the palette so you get really bright colors with your splatters. And then I could come over here and add maybe just a little bit of yellow. I usually try to mix it up. So for example, the yellow where there is not directly against the yellow, or if I want some pink, for example, I'll put the pink against down here against the green. Know too though, if that pink hits there, it might turn into a little bit of brown. So I'm careful of that. And then finally, if I wanted a little bit of green, and just bring some green right over here, and maybe over by the leaves too. And I'm using a really small brush, so for really small splatters. Okay, that looks really, really cute, doesn't it? What fun. What an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous flower portrait. All right, you guys, in less than 15 minutes, we are just speeding through this garden series. I hope you have an absolutely beautiful day. I'll have some links below for some of the other flower things that I have going in the shop right now, and the Exuberant Flowers course if you want to watch that. Otherwise, I'm going to see you guys next week. Have an absolutely beautiful rest of your week.